Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. So today we are going to be starting the beginning of a 20,000 mile service series on my 2018 Harley Davidson Heritage 114. We're just about at 20,000 miles. The bike has actually kind of been sitting here for a while, so much so that I had to drain the gas out of the tank. Probably didn't have to do it, but decided I wanted to do it. So we have a bunch of stuff lined out here on the table that we got to get done. It's going to be fluids all around, including brake fluid, which I have not done before. The rear tire has to be replaced because it is pretty flat spotted, I guess you'd say, on the rear. I did the tires the first go around and it was quite a chore. Most people do not do them themselves. There's a reason for that, so stay tuned in this series. It is a giant pain to do the tires in the garage yourself without all the equipment, but we're going to do it anyways because that's what I do here on the channel. I'm also going to be doing plugs and wires as well, so I am going to be pulling the tank today and really taking this thing out of service for probably the next week or two as I go through and just really run through the bike. I don't think there's anything wrong with it today as it sits, but it does need a little bit of TLC.
Was that accidental, or were you trying to quote TLC on purpose?
So let's stop procrastinating. We'll get the bike out on the road, get the fluids up to temperature so I can get them all drained out of the bike, start pulling the tank, talk through some of that process. And we'll talk about why I haven't ridden the bike all that often lately. There's been kind of a lot going on. So let's hop out on the road and we'll talk about it. The Fuelie app that I track all my fuel ups with says the last time I filled this tank up was October 10th. Today is February 11th, so that is 4 months on the same tank of fuel. Now the reason why I haven't ridden an entire tank of gas out in that time is because since then, I'm not sure if Atlanta was after that, but if not, it was like right at the same time. But I know I've gone to Tampa, Austin, Texas, Vegas, Anaheim, and Buffalo. So 5 cities in 4 months, maybe 6. I'm not sure if my other Austin trip was also in there. And that's why this bike has not ridden so much. So now I'm out here just trying to get the bike up to temp. You can see my Dyno Jet Power Vision has me up to 268. That's about as high as it's going to get in these temperatures right now, which are 74 degrees. Beautiful, beautiful riding weather. So let's get back to the garage and we'll get to wrenching on this thing and start the series off right and start pulling everything off and really take a run through the bike and make sure everything is in tip-top shape. This Flow oil filter I've been running for 10,000 plus miles, and I'm not getting rid of it because I don't think it works. I'm getting rid of it because I don't think I need it anymore. The type of riding that I'm doing has changed to the point where I got this, and I actually had the oil cooler on here at one point when I was using this bike more as a commuter bike. And as a commuter bike, I was getting stuck in more stop and go traffic. Now that I'm not commuting to work, I work from home. feel like I said that a lot lately. I don't need to worry so much about the bike idling in a traffic jam in 105-degree temperatures, where I was more concerned about keeping the oil temps down. I'm now pretty much riding for leisure only. With leisure, I don't plan on leisurely sitting in traffic jams very often. Now that we got the fluids all out of the bike, not only are we going to be adding fluids in the next video that we drain today, we are also going to be doing the brake fluid, which I think we'll tackle in the next episode, which I've never done before. That fluid is well over 3 years old now, definitely needs to be done. We're also going to be doing plugs and wires, which is why I want to pull the tank to get access there. And while I have the tank off, I'm gonna actually clean up some of the wiring on some of the previous videos I've done before. I have a dash cam on this bike, which was done a long time ago. And when I first wired that up, it was at an apartment that I lived in. I didn't have a ton of access or time to really do it right the first time. So I wanna actually pull the tank, rerun all that wiring the way that it really should have been done the first time. Let's go ahead and start stripping off the saddlebags, the seats, and the tank, and we'll probably end it there. So let's do it. I've never pulled a tank before, so we'll see how that process goes as well. Now they tell you after you disconnect the fuel pump to run the bike for 3 seconds. Pretty safe to say there's no fuel in there. So there we are. We got the motorcycle down to the backbone. I'm really excited about this because, again, there is some wiring that I tried to fish through underneath the tank when I first bought the bike. That was before I was honestly confident enough and probably had the right tool set, both actual hardware tools and the awareness myself to attack something like this. But a big part of this channel is I like to demonstrate that just the average person can kind of do all this stuff on their own without having to pay a shop. So the point that I want to make here is it's probably going to take me a little bit longer than it would to just take it to a shop, but I'm also not entirely too sure about that. I know a lot of shops have a significant backlog on work, so you may take it to a shop and it might still be a few weeks anyways before they can get it back to you. I don't know. Comment down below if you've taken your bike into a shop. What kind of turnaround times recently have you seen? For me, if I can take this thing apart in the garage, do it all myself, save some money, also be able to buy some tools that I can then put back to use again later, which you'll see when I tackle the rear tire here. Taking the tank off was a little bit, I guess, scary in terms of doing damage to the bike potentially, but it really wasn't that complicated, honestly. This bike does have a few scrapes here and there. I'm not the kind of person that is like needs to have a pristine bike. I will go through and clean the thing all the time and those things, but in terms of bruises, they all add character in my opinion. I am really oddly not that worried when I scrape something. It's especially if I'm doing the work myself. It's kind of like a badge of honor in a weird way, but that's me. Not everybody's going to have that same sort of mindset. We are going to be using Motul 7100 4T. It is a 20W50 motor oil. I've been running that for quite a while. Really like it. Also, the Harley Davidson heavy synthetic gear oil, very expensive. However, I think it's worth it. I've noticed that it shifts way smoother. It's easier to find neutral. For brake fluid, we are going to run Motul RBF 660. And of course, for the rear tire, we are going to be running the Michelin Commander 3, which we'll be putting on ourselves. Now for the spark plugs and wires, I am going to run the Screaming Eagle setup. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. Hopefully I have this thing back together sometime soon and be back on the road. See you guys next time.